It's a debate as old as Rocket League itself. Duos or trios? Which game mode is easier? Which can you climb the ranks higher? Score more goals, brag to the boys about how freaking awesome you are, and become the best player you can be. Or, does anyone actually even give a duck anymore? Well, I do. I give enough ducks to play 40 matches with randoms between the two modes to find out which mode between duos and trios is actually easier to play for the average duck. If you can't tell already, my autocorrect really likes the word duck. One of my main goals is to answer questions in the video game world. Some questions we all have. Some, maybe you just hit your head too many times, or you just play the game too much. Either way, I'm going to play to find the answers, so subscribe if you enjoy. Or don't. It's your world. I'm just gaming in it. It's not a foolproof plan by any means to find out which game mode is the easiest, but it's a consistent way to grade each mode nonetheless. For a simple man like myself, I'm using 3 grade points: match score, goals, and of course, wins and losses. All of these will directly affect how high or low we can go with randoms. In 40 random matches, we start with duos, and I have to confess, playing with a full random team in any competitive game is one of the most enjoyable experiences possible in gaming. I know, but hear me out. How often can you find a teammate willing to sacrifice a goal or two to allow his teammate to make great come-from-behind content for his YouTube channel? This happened in Game 14. And if you liked high-scoring games, this was a perfect match for you. Just not a perfect match for me, because it was 1-9, and not in my favor. But then again, who doesn't love the team bumps, all the splashes, the bolstering of team morale? I mean, what a selfless guy, thinking of others' happiness before his own. Truly a class act. Guess I forgot to tell him coming back from a 1-9 deficit was maybe a goal or two too many. Of course, where would we be without a high-scoring match that was tad closer than 9-1? In fairness, that's probably like 99% of all matches played, but that's where match 9 was coincidentally enough. In the 99th percentile of not getting absolutely mollywopped into another full rank. That's really a heck of a lot of 9s. But match 9 was indeed a tad closer. It was closer than far apart, and not as far as too close. It makes sense if you think about it, but don't think too hard. But in the match we went back and forth, giving a 2-goal lead with 50 seconds left. But this is Rocket League. It all can change with 1 duck up. And I definitely ducked some stuff up to get back to OT. But with a few scares in OT, we eventually pulled out a 6-5 win. While those were only 2 of the 20 duos matches, it all started with this opening. But it didn't stop there. Well, there it did, but ignore that. Yeah, like that one. That was good. But game 1 was a good way to start everything off, especially with the amazingness of amazingness. Outside all that ness going on, I still had 17 other duos matches that happened, to figure out which game mode is actually easier. The rest of the way through duos was somewhat a cluster duck. Some luck, and some uninspiring flapjacks, and flops of plays. Over the course of 20 duos matches, I started in Plat 3 Division 1, and finished in Plat 3 Division 3, with a total of 25 goals, and with an average score across 20 matches at 396.6. My win-loss record was 11-9. Again, my plan to compare the two at the end is to figure out which game mode is actually easier, and I would score them in a head-to-head match to figure out which game mode should theoretically be easier to play through. Arguably though, the easiest match in all 40 matches that was played was match 11 in trios. Remember how I said earlier 99% of matches don't end in a 9-1 or worse fashion? Well, this one didn't, but we were damn close to making it happen. In fact, 8-1 is as close to 9-1 as you can be without being 9-1. We crushed them. Nah, take that back. We crushed them. And I literally mean, Oil here drove through 2 of them to score a goal. I mean, what kind of savage does that? But like the New York Giants do against the Cowboys every year, I had my way in this match, scoring whenever, and with the help of teammates, we deleted them into another zip code. Much how it happened in duos earlier. Except I was on the other side. You know, not the bad side. But even in trios, immunity to being terrorized wasn't off the books. Trios seemed to have it all for me. Match 9 was also the best match in all my 40 matches. That is, the best match for feeling like I accidentally slipped out of my chair to arm wrestle a grizzly bear, and in doing so, I accidentally pushed his paw into the power button and unfortunately had to call it a night at that point. And not because we managed to give up 3 goals in the last 30 seconds to lose after a miserable attempt, but if I had pushed the power button back on, the grizzly bear would have had to go back and wait to watch Ted. And I couldn't make him wait, so we decided it was good time to call it quits and take the rest of the night off. But some may argue we stopped playing after we scored our first 4 goals anyways. But that's besides the point. After giving the bare minimum effort in match 9, there was 11 to go. Because 9 plus 11 equals 20. Match 17 was something to be proud of. Well, I was proud anyways. Because I kind of just watched the 1.5 v3 happen. And yes, I was the half. This match was supposed to be doomed from the start. My teammate was pinging higher than some people's SAT scores. We were all over the place, but we stuck with it, riding the wall to snag goal number 1, squeezing it between all 3 defenders. But after giving up 2 quick goals and completely losing high ping teammate, my boy P-Dog took over. Now P-Dog and I have never talked in our lives, but I imagine we would never have to. We would just give each other the nod. Also, something tells me P-Dog is not a natural platty daddy. But with me just doing my thing and P-Dog just wreaking havoc across the board, we submitted them into a forfeit, 2v3. Shout out P-Dog. Quick reminder before we get into the numbers, otters hold hands while sleeping so they don't float away. And if you break a rule 1, I'll spend the rest of that match demoing you. And also, electric eels are not actually eels. Anyways, match 18 was nothing but a joke. I wouldn't have changed it for anything. Sometimes, you just have different questions in the middle of a match. Like, can I actually stack cards in the middle of a match? That answer, though, is yes. Yes, you can. But in order to actually find out which game mode is theoretically easier, we gotta add up the numbers head to head. Between my 20 trios matches, I started in Plat 2 Division 3 and ended in Plat 3 Division 1. So in comparison, duos, I started Plat 3 Division 1 and jumped up 2 divisions. And trios, I started Plat 2 Division 3 and jumped up 2 divisions. Therefore, both duos and trios receive 1 point due to growing in rank at the same pace. Up next was the total goal count across 20 matches. In duos, I put 25 in the net, while in trios, I put 28 in the net. Score 1 for the trios. After tallying the goals, we come up to the match score. We tally it all together, and we divide it by 20. In duos, I averaged 396.6 points a match. In trios, I averaged 318.05. Score 1 for duos. And in the final head-to-head comparison, we evaluate the records. In duos, I went 11-9, while in trios, I also went 11-9. So the tally comes out to 3 points for each duos and trios. So what does that tell me? Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, between duos and trios, there isn't an easier game mode between the two. It's a small sample size of 40 matches, and the results are not varying enough to show one was absolutely easier than the other. So maybe this does need to be looked at in the future again.